Hey, what's up everybody? Dustin here with Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Today I'll be showing you how to test a starter relay. Alright, so today I'm going to show you how to test a starter relay. Now the starter relay is what provides power to your starter motor and is also known as a starter solenoid. Now the starter relay is much like any other relay in that it carries a lot of current and supplies that power to a load, or in this case a starter motor. Now what energizes the starter relay is typically when you push the start button. That's able to supply it with a small amount of current, and once that current flows into the starter relay, it flows through a coil which then creates an electromagnetic field which closes a switch and connects the two terminals, which then can carry that large amount of current and supply power to your starter motor. Now, it sounds kind of complicated, but it's actually just a big switch. So today, we're going to show you how to test it. To test the starter relay, you will need a 12-volt battery, starter relay or starter solenoid, and a multimeter. Now, your multimeter, you want to make sure can test volts AC, volts DC, and at least have an ohms reading. To begin, you will want to isolate and de-energize the component in which you are testing. In this case will be your starter relay, so you will want to disconnect it and remove it from the machine. Now, starter relays all operate under the same principles, and that's no matter whether you're working on an ATV, a motorcycle, side-by-side, or even a car. Now, once you've disconnected the starter relay and removed it from your bike, we can begin the test. Now, real quick, I want to point out on your starter relay, there's typically about 2 to 4 connections on the primary side. Now, if you have more than 2 connections, it typically means that there's a condition that needs to be met in order for the relay to be energized. And those conditions that need to be satisfied are things such as a clutch switch, a side stand switch, neutral position switch, a tip over switch, or the start button. Now, once those conditions have been met, the relay can then be energized and will then connect the 2 terminals, so it will supply power from your battery to your starter motor. Now, to start testing the starter relay, we need to energize it, so we need to apply 12 volts DC to the primary side of the starter relay. They are not polarity sensitive. Now, once you apply 12 volts DC to the solenoid, you should hear an audible click. Now, even though you hear an audible click, it doesn't necessarily mean that the starter relay is working. You could have corrosion built up inside of there, preventing the 2 connections from being made. So we'll take our multimeter, we'll place it into the ohms position to take a resistance test. So we will take our red and black multimeter leads, we will place them on either side of the terminals. They are not polarity sensitive. And then we will energize the solenoid, and we should be able to get a resistance reading. Now, you should be able to at least read something of resistance. Now, if you're doing this test and you're not getting any sort of connection, that means that your relay is bad and you will need to replace it. We can test the primary side of the starter's relay and take an ohms measurement. Now, when you connect your multimeter to it, it is not polarity sensitive, so it doesn't matter if you're hooked on positive or negative side. Now, as you can see, we're reading right here 4.2 ohms. Now, that's a lot higher than just taking a standard wire measurement. The reason for that is there is a large coil of wire that's inside of there, so that's why we have the higher resistance reading. On this particular relay, we need to identify the circuit that has the coil of wire on the primary side of the relay. Now, to do this, we can do a simple resistance test with our multimeter, place it into the ohms position. And we're going to test these first 2 terminals here. As you can see, we're getting 0.1 ohms of resistance. That lets us know that this is a very short length of wire. Now we can test the other 2. It looks like we're getting 4.4 to 4.5 ohms. This lets us know, since it's quite a larger number, that the current that's coming from the meter is traveling through a large coil of wire. Now, once this coil of wire is energized, it will then create the magnetic field, in turn connecting these 2 terminals. Now, if we were to do another test across from these connections, you can see that we are not getting any sort of connection, no sort of resistance reading. This is good. That lets us know that these are not connected to each other, and that this here is the circuit that we need to energize in order to connect these 2 terminals. Now, if your multimeter is reading OL, that means that you have an open line. Double check your connections to make sure that you are connected to the component correctly. And if you are, and you're still reading OL, it typically means that there is a break in the circuit and you will need to replace it. Now when it comes to you and your bike, always be sure to reference your service manual for specific procedures and information regarding testing on electrical components. And that's it. That's how you test a starter relay. Now if you have any questions as to what we've done here today, feel free to leave us a comment below and we'll be sure to get an answer back to you. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more product spotlights, how-tos, and top 5s, and see our website at RockyMountainATVMC.com. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'm Dustin with Rocky Mountain. Thanks for watching, and keep turning those wrenches.